There was a sudden silence, as again the story became interrupted. Looking over at Kim Lee, he had a frustrated look on his face as he began tapping on the files in his lap. Standing up suddenly, first putting his hand over his mouth as if to keep himself from saying something and then pointing at me with the same hand, he asked, "Can you really believe all this? This reads more like a child's fairy tale than the journal on a mature man." He went on to say, "You know, when they first brought you here and they began to explain to me their plan of how they could possibly save you, I was truly skeptical. And yet here we are. Just look around the room at all this." He began pointing at the monitors and walking about the room, putting his hands on the many complicated pieces of equipment. Who could have imagined such a thing? Then pointing at the comatose swine in the next bed with all the tubes and wires connecting us together, he said, "Even this I can believe because I can see it and I've seen what they have done." Holding up the transcripts of the journal in his left hand, he began to shake the pages at me. But then he asked, "Just how am I supposed to believe this? You know, I've sat in on many meetings about your progress and the theories of how we've gotten so far, and it just plain amazes me that some of those highly educated eggheads actually believe this crap." Sitting back down next to me, he once again grew silent. And now for a few minutes, I was again lost in my thoughts while not engaged in this story. But this story jogged my memory of a childhood incident where I too found myself mesmerized by the movement of a praying mantis, and it was my friend Kim Lee's father who took notice of me and my fascination. It's funny how you hear things and at the moment you don't give it much thought. But he told me, there's an old wives' tale that if you become lost, a praying mantis can point you in the right direction. As silly as that might sound, I have believed it since I was a young child. How could we have shared such a similar experience and yet there were centuries between our existence? And how is it possible I was learning about it under such similar circumstances? Kim Lee, breaking his silence, leaning in, he stated, "You know, I've always considered you to be a very smart and reasonable man. This is just the beginning of these fairy tale style writings. If you do not think this something you can come to believe, I will stop here. But if you want, I will continue. But I've warned you, this is the stuff comic books are made of." "What will it be?" he asked. "Shall I go on?" I blinked once to acknowledge him that I wanted to continue. Although I had my doubts, I felt completely connected to the events in this story and I needed to finish it to see how it all ended. Kim Lee now sitting back in the chair and picking up the transcripts, he once again prepared to read. "Okay, my friend, but don't say I didn't warn you.